Divorce is hard. Divorce is tough. Divorce is costly. A magazine in India, and the girl actually who was interviewing me, she said, we actually asked our parents when we were old enough to say, why didn't you get divorced? Because the arguments we lived through were terrible.
How did you feel like at that point?
Alone, shit, emotional, lonely. It was the worst. So I cried for 12 years. If I'm writing a piece, I'll write it, and then I'll rewrite it, and then I'll rewrite it. And I keep on writing it until it makes me cry. Because when it makes me cry, I know it's from the heart.
Remarry after what you've been through? Or?
Oh God, my mum's going to watch this. She'll have a coronary. She is like, marriage is off the cards. Women, get a guy. And the guy is expected to do everything, A to Z. Like, he's got to be my best friend, and he's got to be really good at this, and he's got to be able to do A to Z. Right? It's not humanly possible.
You can reclaim your marriage. You don't have to get a divorce. Like, that's so empowering because there are options. There's 5 different love languages. Maybe it's that, exploring the options first.
I say, well, when you get married, you have a wedding reception because you're marking a new beginning. I got divorced. I'm marking a new beginning.
Yeah. Guys, welcome back to my podcast. I am Harinder. I cannot wait to share my guest with you today. She is amazing. She threw a divorce party and went viral for doing so. So today we're going to find out a little bit more about her journey into the divorce party and what she's doing now as a relationship and divorce coach. So without further ado, Sonia Gupta, welcome today.
Hi, Harinder. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you, Sonia?
I'm really well, really well.
Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
I want to send a shout out to Lal, who's amazing. He's like a big brother to a lot of us, who actually told me about yourself and this really interesting story that we're going to be talking about today. So thank you for coming along today. And I wanted to start with, so divorce party, this is very interesting. How did it come about?
I went through quite an acrimonious divorce, and the period that I went through from the day I kind of, not day, but the period I decided I wanted to get out to that time I got divorced was about 12 years. So it was a long period of time. And me and my ex lived together the whole time through this period. So it was really, really difficult. And I'm quite a social, bubbly, outgoing person.
Yeah.
And what happened so it's March 21, my divorce came through. COVID, we were in and out of COVID.
Oh, God, that's difficult.
And then in July is my birthday. And so we hit July, and I said to my children, I really want to throw a party. And it wasn't a birthday, it was just a party just to say, hey, we're here, we survived, whatever. Because those 12 years that we were going through the divorce, the house was a house. It wasn't a home, right? My friends wouldn't come over. I mean, I didn't want to be there, so why would anyone else want to be there? My children really didn't have play dates and stuff like that because the atmosphere was toxic. So I wanted to have a birthday party or a party, and then COVID number was like 30 people. I was like, well, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
So a couple of weeks later, I think the numbers changed, and when you could have outdoor gatherings, and it was August. And I was going to my son, I really want to do something. I really want to party, and just to celebrate our new beginning. And so it was like 3 weeks before, and I pinged a message to my core girls. You know, you've got loads of friends, but you've got your core girls,
core
right?
Group, yeah.
So I messaged them and said, are you free on this date? And it was actually September the 12th. So it's coming up 4 years now. And they were like, yeah, we're all free. We're like, just save the date. So I messaged everyone, this save the date. No idea what I was going to do. Anyway, put together this party, and it was just at home in my back garden.
Yeah.
I had a small marquee because it was summer-ish. I was really lucky with the weather. And then I'm quite bright and colourful, like you can tell with the hair. And I had a unicorn bouncy castle, a unicorn cake, unicorn themed cake, pink marquee.
As you do.
As you do. Mobile cocktail bar, DJ. And it was literally just my friends, my kids, their friends. So it was a family affair on a Sunday afternoon. Started at 3 and then went on to like the wee hours of the morning. And it was just a party to say, I'm here, I survived. And thank you to all of you for listening to me cry endlessly for like 12 years, because that's all I did. So that's what happened. And then my friend turned up with a sash that said just divorced. So I put that on. My invite, in theory, had the theme of divorce behind it, but I never said I'm having a divorce party.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he obviously picked up that it was like the theme was divorce, came with this just divorce sash. My parents weren't meant to come because of COVID. They then turned up and saw their daughter walking around with this sash that said just divorced. Horrified, you can imagine.
Yeah.
The community alike. And had this amazing party. And that was it. You know, and it was great fun. And then my friend who runs Asian Single Parents Network, she put it up on her social media saying, would you throw a divorce party? One of our members did. And the next thing I knew, she messaged me. She went, Sonia, this reporter wants to talk to you. About what? She was like, your party. I was like, okay. So this girl said, I agreed to it. So I had a chat with this girl. And I said, what happens with this story? She goes, well, we put it out on a network. And if anyone picks it up, if any of the papers pick it up, so be it. And I was like, okay. I literally didn't think anything of it. A week later, I was at work, merrily working away. And my friend, I've actually got the screenshot on my phone still, sends me a screenshot of his computer at work. And it says, you're in the mirror.
Oh.
And I was like, what? He went, you're in the mirror. And it says, woman throws divorce party after 17 years of marriage.
Wow.
So obviously I was like really excited about this. And I was like dancing up and down the office like you do. And I told my parents and they were like not impressed.
Yeah.
So that was day one. And then the next day I got notifications from my nephews and nieces in India. Bua, you are trending on social media. You're on notifications.
India.
Yeah.
Your auntie from India has
My
messaged
cousin,
you.
my nephew. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And it basically said, Indian woman throws divorce party. And that was it.
Yeah, that would
That was it. Everywhere. Like Europe, the States.
clickbait.com.
Here. I mean, India was the biggest arena because being Indian and getting divorced is not the done thing. It's not unheard of because it happens. But getting divorced and then celebrating it is not the done thing. And my parents were like, you got divorced. You didn't need to tell the world. And I went, I didn't plan this. I just threw a celebration, my liberation, right?
Yeah.
And that was it.
I got so many questions and I'm sure so many other people have. But let's just dive into so it wasn't actually intended as a divorce party, but ended up sort of turning into one.
Okay, so my invite was on one side, a horse which said divorcees. And on the other side, there was a unicorn. It said Sonia, right?
Oh.
So, there was a theme. There was a theme that it's going to be bright and colourful. And I am a bit different to the crowd. So there was a theme, but I never said it's a divorce party. I never said, come to my divorce party.
Yeah.
But there was an underlying theme to
Tone
it.
to it, yeah. So how did your parents feel about that? Because you did touch on they were horrified, but...
As I said, they weren't meant to come. And then they turned up and I'm walking around with this sash and the look on their face, I was like, well, right now I'm not gonna have this conversation right now with you. And they were there, we cut the cake and everything because I had that unicorn cake. And I gave a little speech. And in my speech, I said, I know this isn't the life you chose for me. And my friend, classic, piped up in the middle, said, but this is your life, Sonia. And I basically said, I know this isn't the life you chose for me, but I'm the happiest I've ever been. And that was it. And I think for them, they couldn't see that at the time. All they could see was their daughter was divorced. That is it. Yeah. It was very blinkered view to what was going on. And I'm not going to say all they worried about the children. And this is a big topic, which we can talk about later. But is what's better, living in a toxic environment or leaving that toxic environment? And it is not staying in that toxic environment. It's better for the children in the long run.
Yeah. So let's talk about that because I do want to touch on that because just going back a little bit, we're not going to go through the divorce itself, but the journey afterwards. Tell me a bit more about why you wanted to leave. You don't have to go into specifics.
Yeah. So there were lots of things that were going on within the marriage and you always try to make them work. There's compatibility issues. There's other things that are going on. But for me, I think the ultimate point was I knew I was deeply unhappy. So whatever was going on in the background caused the unhappiness. And
was that quite immediately known or did that sort of take time to sort of get to that point?
So there was things that happened. I thought, right, I need to get out. But then my parents refused to let me come home.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, then I've got to make it work because I've literally got nowhere to go. And then I gave up my career because my parents said, give up your career, stay home, make roti. Literally where they were.
The ultimate housewife sort of thing.
So do that. I did that. Then I joined the family business. So it was like mum and dad and me and my ex. I had no outlet. It was a really difficult time. And I just slowly realised that I'm actually doing everything they're asking me to do. I've given up my job. I've joined the family business. I'm making the roti. But it's not getting better. It's getting worse. So everything I was doing wasn't appeasing the situation. It was making the dynamics actually tenfold worse.
Right.
And
In what way? Like, what sort of like, how's
arguments, just not getting on. It was just, there was no peace.
Yeah.
So whether it was me and him arguing or me and the kids arguing, because obviously I'm unhappy. So when you're unhappy as a person, it tends to spill out into everything.
Yeah, yeah.
So the environment was just not what you want for yourself or your kids. And now I'm reflective on my situation. It's not what I want for my ex either, right? I used to say I fought for me and my children. I now say I fought for all of us, because ultimately he can't have been happy either living in that environment. So for me, I've moved on, as in done a lot of reflection, done a lot of work on myself and thought about it, and I've healed. And so I now say I actually helped all of us.
Yeah.
I didn't just do it for me.
Yeah.
Yes, ultimately the main thing I was doing it for me and my kids, but he can't have been happy. I've never had this conversation with him, and we do talk for the children, but yeah, and we've never spoken about the divorce party either. It's never come. Well, I've chosen not to broach it.
Fair. I don't blame you, but I think that's really interesting, because in that, like you've mentioned, you thought about yourself and the kids. And I don't hear many people thinking about the other person or mentioning the other person at that time, because there's always blame, or there's, everyone's going to want to blame someone else. And I think that's really interesting that you've like had time to reflect, and that you've said that actually you did it for all of us. Because how would you, if you're sort of arguing in the house, and were you living with your parents as well?
No, it was just the four of us.
You. Yeah, because that's really interesting that you talk about how he would have been unhappy as well, and that's really interesting to know. I actually saw this video when this guy's interviewing another lady, and he's like, "How's your husband?" And she's like, "It's fine." He's like, "Is he happy?" And then she basically tells him to F off, because she's like, "Why are you asking me this question?" But like, he was like, "It's a simple question." And it's interesting to think about the other party, even if whether you're a woman, whether you're a man, like to think about the other party. But you mentioned, so the dynamics were quite interesting, because you obviously left your job, but then your husband was also was in the business.
Yeah. So he worked in the family business and I was working in childcare. That's my field. And then I, at the advice of mum and dad, left my regular Monday to Friday long job, because it was long hours and children and I'm pregnant. So then I joined the family business and realised while I was in the family business, I was never going to be free, because I was financially completely tied by them. Because the moment I said I wanted to get out, they were like, "Well, we'll close the business."
Wow.
So it was like a noose around my neck. While I stayed in that business, I was never going to be free. So I left the family business in 2014, I think it was, or 15. I think it might have been 14, and went back into my career to rebuild it. So I had freedom in theory, and I would eventually have financial freedom, because while I was working for them, they controlled everything.
Yeah.
And this is not about mum and dad and what they didn't do, because actually in the long run, they actually had my back after 7 years of battling them. They pulled out all the stops and they got me out. But it was that initial 7-year battle, which is a long time. I was at war with my mum and dad, because they didn't want me to leave the marriage.
And why do you think that was? Like, other than the typical of like, what other people think and stuff, but is there any other?
I don't think it was so much as what other people think. It was more that thinking of two parents together are better. Doesn't matter if there's toxic arguments, that it's irrelevant. Financially, how are you going to do it? There probably was a little bit about what were people going to say. I am the only divorcee in our family and we have a huge family. But there was the financial implications. They were huge for us. So there was lots of different anomalies, and they just were very against the idea of getting a divorce. I mean I was at war with my mum and dad, it was war. It was battle after battle. I'd go round, I'd have an argument at home with my ex, for example, and I'd be like, okay, I'll go and talk to my mum and dad, and they'd be like, and then my mum would then get really angry and upset, and then she'd be like, my dad would be like, go home, because there's a volcano erupting here as well. And I'm like, well, where are you sending me? You're sending me from one fire into another fire.
Yeah, wow.
It was hard, really hard.
Do you think there's an element of like parents thinking that, oh, maybe we haven't done good enough, when they're like, oh no, just go home, just like keep it sweet, keep it like, and it's more of a reflection of maybe on them, they feel?
I just think they thought they were doing the right thing. That's it. They don't know any different. And so it's taken a lot for me to also get past that. My dad's no longer here. But when it comes to my mum, because it was really hard with her. It's been quite difficult rebuilding that bridge, because for me, your parents should always protect you. And for me, they left me in the shit.
Sorry to hear that. And so, like, how are your kids in this while this all going on, this crazy, like, 7-year period before the divorce party? Like, there must have been a lot going on. Like,
so for my older one, sadly, he saw and heard a lot of the arguments. And then just as sad for my younger one, he didn't know any different. He was born into this. So now they're doing well. They're fine. My older one, when I do these things like podcasts and stuff, and they're like, oh, what about your children? Because he's old enough to talk and that. We're like, do you want to come on and do you want to talk about your perspective and maybe help other people, children that are going through it? And his answer is, I lived through it. I don't need to talk about it. He's very closed off to talking about it.
sure.
I think for them, how I see it is, they say having one stable parent is enough. And I'm not saying it should be like that, because it shouldn't. But they could always come to me to talk to me. They have a relationship with their dad, and that's between them, and I do not get involved in that at all. But I also have a really good friends network. Like, my friends are phenomenal. My sister and her husband are phenomenal. And so they always had someone to go to or talk to. So my younger one, probably not so much, but my older one definitely relied on his mussy, my sister. And she's not here, she's in the States. But her and her husband were his rock, which is really nice.
And so you mentioned earlier about, like, it's better for kids, I think you specifically stated, not to be in a toxic relationship than to be, like, it's better to be in a separate than in them growing up in a toxic relationship. Like, could you expand on that a little bit?
Being in a toxic environment is not healthy by any means. It's not healthy for the two parents. And the children then witness abuse in some shape or form, right? Whether it's physical, emotional, financial, there's something always going on there. And then they're witness to these arguments or potentially something worse. And why would you want to put your child through that? Because when they grow up, this is going to have a bigger impact on them. The sooner they're in a peaceful environment, you can explain that. If you sit down and explain to your children that, mum and daddy may, don't get on anymore, but we still love you, and this is not a reflection on you. There are ways you can talk to your children about it and come out of it in a positive light. That toxic environment for children, I don't think people actually realise the impact it has. And just with my older one, as Mikhail, for example, the fact that he doesn't want to talk about it at all, and he's so articulate, he would be so good, and is a great role model for all my friends' younger kids, but he won't talk about it because he's been scarred by it. So, and I do a number of these, and I had an interview with a magazine in India, and the girl actually who was interviewing me, she said, we actually asked our parents when we were old enough to say, why didn't you get divorced? Because the arguments we lived through were terrible.
Yeah, because they see it, they remember it, they feel it, don't they? It stays with them.
It will always be with them, even though they're happier now and they're doing well, there is that lingering effect. And they will say, my older one will sometimes say to me, well, it's not like I had the best childhood growing up, and that hurts because I did everything I could, but it just took so long. There's
people out there obviously who are struggling and probably don't even have anyone to talk to about this in the situation they're in. They probably haven't even spoke to their parents because they're probably too scared and they don't know what to do. What kind of advice would you give to someone maybe kind of who's been battling with this and they're in a situation? Because we'll talk about after, like, the kind of the stigma around, like, divorce and stuff like that. And like you said as well, ideally you don't want to get divorced, but if you're in a situation where you are, then it's healthier for everyone to maybe get out of that situation, right?
I mean, nobody gets married thinking they're going to get divorced, right? That's not, you don't think, I'm going to get married, and then I'm going to get divorced. And my divorce cost me way more than my wedding.
Oh, wow. That's saying something for an Indian wedding.
Divorce is really expensive if you are battling somebody. If you can do it amicably, it can be fairly reasonable. But if you're battling somebody who is irrational, then, and you end up in court and final hearings and you've got child custody battles and stuff, it's extortionate. It can finish you. So if you're thinking of divorce, first of all, try and do it do it amicably. But even before that, if you're thinking, is this marriage salvageable or what is the best way forward? Talk to a third party, because you will talk to your friends, you'll talk to your family. They will always be biased. They will never give you an overview of it. They'll be like, oh no, it's okay, you should stay because XYZ. Oh no, you should just go because of XYZ. Nobody will actually see it with a perspective that with no emotional interest. Whereas if you say, for example, you came to me, I've got no emotional interest. I've got no vested interest. I will just give you a very honest opinion of your situation. And I always get told, gosh, I never thought of it like that. Or nobody's ever asked me that question. And it's just a completely non-biased view of the situation you're in.
So that's interesting, because so you're saying to go to you. So actually, from all of your experience that you've had going through this divorce, you're actually a relationship and divorce coach now, aren't you?
Yeah.
Which is amazing, guys. We will share links below in the description. So if you are in a situation where you are maybe thinking about it, or you're struggling in your relationship, as many of us do, have a look at the link below. Get in touch with Sonia, because she could give you some help or tips. And it doesn't mean, we're not here to say that you should get a divorce. She actually was, so you were telling me the other day, actually, that you would probably tell them how you can save their marriage.
Absolutely. And that is my first thing, because divorce is hard. Divorce is tough. Divorce is costly. There are so many things and implications of getting a divorce, and being a single parent is not easy by any means. So ideally, you want to save that marriage if it's salvageable. Now, I'll give you an example. A lady came to me, she must have been in her 60s, and she's like, I really love my husband. I don't want to divorce him. I said, well, that's good to hear. But she said, but I'm unhappy. So I said, why are you unhappy? She listed these things. And I said, it's either glass half full or glass half empty. She's like, but he doesn't say, I love you. And I said, okay, but what does he do? She went, you know what, Sonia, it really irritates me. He comes home and he cleans the house and he does this and he does that. And I said, most women would kill for somebody to do that for them. So I said, he doesn't say, I love you, but that's his love language. He comes home and he's helping you. So you've got to see it from a different perspective. And then it came out in conversation, she just retired. So she was at home and she wasn't really doing much. So then she's overthinking these things. And I said, okay, you need to get yourself back into something. It doesn't have to be work, but some hobbies or something that you like doing, say, before you got married, before you had your family, because those interests will still be there in some shape or form. And you'll find that the things you're overthinking, you won't have time to overthink them.
Yeah.
Because you won't be idle.
Yeah.
And she's like, and then she called me back a week later. She's like, you were so right.
So it's that saying, isn't it? The devil worships idle minds, or something like that.
Yeah. So it's how you view it. And then another example, I had a girl.
Did she just stay together and then sort of work it out? And
yeah, there wasn't any problems from him.
Specifically.
It was just her overthinking, being a bit more free, wanting that love, but in a different way. But everyone's love language is different.
Yeah, I love that book. Was it the 5 different love languages?
Yeah,
that's amazing. Like everyone, if you are going through, if you're in a relationship, actually, guys, do check out a book. I'm going to stick it in the link below. Check out the book. I think the 5 different love languages. It's called something like that. It's amazing, because actually you see people in a different light. Then, because we're always thinking about what we're going through, what we're doing, and what's wrong with the other person. But actually, they just might be looking at love in a different way. So definitely check the link out below in the description. And so Sonia, so you do this relationship coaching. How long have you been doing it? Is it straight after the divorce, or like how?
So after the divorce party went viral, I had people reach out to me from all over, like UK, India, everywhere. And then people were like, we really resonate with your story. Have you got any tips? Or what would your advice be? And I was like, oh, this is interesting.
Yeah.
This was never the plan. Now I know why it took me 12 years to get out of my divorce, because out of my marriage, because there's always a bigger plan, right? And we just don't know it. And so I thought, okay, so I've been doing it for a couple of years now, about a couple of years.
Okay.
But in general, even before I got married and when I was single and a teenager and in my 20s, people would always come to me with their problems. And they always say to me, you give really good advice. And so it was just in a different form now.
That's amazing. So guys, do check it out in the link below. So let's just go back a little bit. So how did you guys first meet with you and your ex-husband?
We are brought up with the romanticized idea or the aim that when you get married, the next big thing is you've got to get married. When you're born, you've got to get married, right? So I remember being like young and like 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever, and all I wanted to do was get married because I was led to believe that was
going to bring you happiness.
Yeah, and that was my only aim, my only goal. It was like, obviously I was educated and everything, and I chose not to go to uni because I wanted to go into childcare. But all I knew was, I've got to get married, and when I get married, it'll all be happy days. And it was really funny because my mum would talk to him about getting married, and we need to get you married. But then in the same time, she'd be like, "But it's not a bed of roses." So there was that contradiction. But all I remember when I go back to that time, which was a really long time ago, is all I know is really wanted to get married, really wanted to settle down, and really wanted to have children. So that was aim. That was the end goal, which shouldn't be your end goal. Your goal should just be to be happy within yourself, and then the right person will come along if they do. That other person isn't going to be your happiness. But that wasn't the story then, right? That isn't what we were taught or told or brought up to believe. And so I then used to go back and forth to India quite a lot. I used to love going to India. And so one year I packed my bags from here like I did every year. Went to India for 3 months like I do.
Just by yourself?
Yeah, just I've got all family, loads of family out there. And I was at my cousin's, and my dad had flown over as well with a view of meeting potential suitors. And my cousin was like, "Oh, there's a guy. He's a bit younger than you. I'm going to call him over and tell him my computer's broken." It's such a...
Not the traditional way of doing it.
Not the traditional... Anyway, so they call... Yeah, he's like, he's all right. It's a typical story, isn't it? So he's like, "I'm going to call him and say, oh, my computer's broken. Can you come and fix it?" Anyway, so I'm just like literally at home, like chilled out, not doing anything. And my dad's there as well. Anyway, my ex comes in and my cousin says, "Oh, my computer's not working," and whatever, has a cup of tea. And then there's just chit chat. And he goes. So my cousin said, "What do you think?" I was like, "Yeah, it seems all right." He's then gone back home and said, "Oh, I think Guptaji's daughter is here, the younger one, but I'm actually the older one." And actually, he's been at our family weddings and our functions. So there was a lot of family connections.
Yeah.
Sadly didn't work. And that was how we met.
So hold on, you went to India and your cousins called your ex-husband around at the time.
Yeah.
And then what happened there?
I said, I'd meet him.
Yeah.
So, because this was just, I knew what he was there for. Bless him, he didn't know what he was there for.
Yeah.
So, and then, we met. We went for coffee, I think it was. And that was it. We kind of just said, we both kind of said, okay. It was one of those introduced marriages. We didn't date.
Yeah.
And so from the day I met him to the day I got married was 6 weeks.
6 weeks?
Yeah.
What? Well, hold on. From the time you met him to when you got married, did you say it was 6 weeks?
Yeah.
Oh,
I wouldn't recommend anyone doing that.
Wow, that is. I mean, people get shocked at me saying, "Oh, how long did it? Until you got married to your wife?" It's like about 1.5 years. And like, wow, that's quite quick. And I was like, no, it's all right. We got to know each other a little bit, but 6 weeks.
Yeah, and actually, I wasn't even in India the whole time because then I had to come back here, wrap up my job, sort out things. My friends are like, "What are you doing?" Because the plan was to live in India.
Oh, did you fly back to India then to get married there?
And I was going to live there.
Wow.
The plan was to live there.
Wow.
And then that all changed.
But what happened then? So how comes you wanted to?
So how come I wanted to live there?
Yeah, and then why did you come back?
So I've always loved India, so I was quite happy to live there. But then there were teething problems, and then we'd come backwards and forwards to the UK, and then the plan changed. Now I would say he decided to come here. I think he'd say it was me. So there's never been any clarity on that, and it's been a sore point. So I can't say, and I won't say, I suppose, more to the point, why we came back or why I came back and he came, or whichever way around it was.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a...
So I guess in that 6 weeks, you've probably not had enough time to really even get your head around what's going on and maybe even see potential red flags and stuff like that.
And I'm going to be honest, at 26, I didn't even know what a red flag was.
Yeah.
I don't even think it was a terminology that was even used back then. I didn't really know him. He didn't really know me. It was
Is it like, I guess parents as well in the Asian culture be like, oh no, you get your whole life to get to know them,
yeah,
and that
exactly.
sort of thing, isn't it?
And you'll fall in love
Yeah.
once you get married. You'll fall in love afterwards, and potentially that's what happened in my parents' generation. So, and that worked, and it does still work. Some of those people I know that have met and got married very quickly as well. Sadly, just didn't work for me.
That's all good though. But what would you say? Like, are there any sort of things to look out for? So whether it's for men and for women, any sort of red flags or things that you might think that actually, if you're uncertain of, is there anything they should look out for before maybe taking the plunge and getting married?
So I think there's so many different things to look at. First, it depends if you met somebody through a dating app or you've met somebody through family, right? So if you met somebody through a dating app, the first thing you need to know is actually verify that what they're telling you is real, right? Because you've got no knowledge of this person if he is who or he says they are.
Oh God, there's that thing with the cat. Was it Bobby the catfish?
Yeah.
Oh my God, have you seen that?
Yeah, I have seen that.
Terrible.
You know, verify who they are, what they're doing, all those kind of things. So there's that. If you've met through a network of people and you know this person is who they say they are, and that, the things are consistency is really important. Like making sure they're present. For me, it is making time for that person, and also actions speak louder than words. So anyone can say I love you, but where's the action behind those words? So they've got to bring something to the table before you drop your guard. So, and when I say bring something to the table, I don't mean money. I don't mean financially. I mean value to your life. And does that work for you? So what I'll say is what most people, women, tend to do. They'll meet a guy, and before the guy has even opened his mouth, said anything, done anything, they put him in a box. I'm going to marry him, or he's going to be my husband. And that poor guy hasn't delivered anything.
Yeah.
So then they have this expectation from this guy to deliver the world.
Yeah.
Right? Which is, I'll come to that in a minute. And then he doesn't. And then they accept things that they wouldn't normally accept because they've already emotionally invested in somebody, but the guy hasn't delivered anything, or vice versa.
Yeah.
So you need to see what they're bringing to the table, what value they're bringing into your life.
Is it almost, he's got this sort of false expectation in their head, and it's just like kind of just this dreamland, almost like a fairy tale idea, and maybe visually this person's probably met that, but anything beyond that, personality or whatever be with it, they haven't even seen or even had a chance to see before this.
You kind of give that person that position, pedestal in your life. You put them on that, right, I'm going to marry him, or, you know, and he might have commitment issues, but then you accept he's not there sometimes, or he lets you down, or he's a bit flaky, because you've kind of already said, well, I'm going to marry him in your head. So you've got to be careful. And the other thing I say is, on the opposite end of this, is we meet somebody. Now, for me, I've got friends I go to dinner with, friends I will confide in, friends I party with. So I've got different friends for different things. Women, get a guy, and the guy is expected to do everything, A to Z. Like, he's got to be my best friend, and he's got to be really good at this, and he's got to be able to do A to Z. Right? It's not humanly possible.
Yeah.
You know, you're a guy, you know? So there's that expectation that we have that they need to be able to, you know, do.
So tickle them boxes and kind of be like my soulmate with that fills everything. And
and that's not always the case. You don't have one person. You don't have one friend that you go to with absolutely everything. I'll go shopping with one friend because she's really good to shop with, because me and her shop in the same style, right? So we're both in and out really quickly. And then you have that friend that like sits there for hours in a shop and walks around 10 times, and you're like, and I'm like, God, I need to get out of here. So you have different people for different things.
No. Sorry.
So the way I see it is, when you get a partner, he cannot do everything.
So don't put all that expectation on him to like deliver.
Get let down.
So also, what else would you say to avoid like having that expectation? Like you said, like what could they do to like?
You've got to make a list of your things that are like things that you want, qualities, but then things that are like deal breakers, and then work on that. Like, you've got to be careful. Just make lists, work on them, but it's also going out, getting to know them. But as soon as there's a red flag, once, twice, then that's it. No, Like, say you have, let me think of a scenario. Say you're going on a date, you're dating somebody, and then at one point they let you down for something, and then, okay, you accepted the once, and then they let you down again, and then they let you down again. Now that's a red flag. So you've got to be aware of the inconsistency.
Because I see, like, I guess see in films and stuff like that as well, but it's like, it's almost that person will start making excuses for that person. What can they, like, do? I know you say, like, just get out, but sometimes people just feel like, oh no, damn, I want to, but I don't know how to, because I'm kind of invested, and then what will people say if they know, and stuff like that. Like, is there any kind of, like, tips to, like, maybe help people get out of the situation? Like,
I mean, look, at the end of the day, if you stay in a situation that doesn't serve you, it's not going to get any better, and it's going to get harder to get out later on. Now, I had a girl come to me, and she's been dating this guy off and on, dated him years ago, broke up, started dating him again, and there's a few red flags, and I think she shouldn't be in that relationship. And I said to her, "You're considering marrying him. Are you prepared to do what you're doing now for the next 25 years, 30 years?" She said, "No." I said, "So why are you accepting it now?" Because you're setting yourself up for that fall. So it's those kind of things you need to look out for. The things that, that nagging feeling sometimes, and there's no other way to explain it. But
the back of your mind that's like, no, let's do something about this. And you're kind of like, no, it's okay. Let me be grateful. Let me, like,
excuses. You said you make excuses for that person. If you find yourself making excuses for that person, there is something wrong.
Interesting. Wow. And so, like, let's come on to, like, parents. Like, because when you was trying to get out of the relationship, and you said you turned to your parents, who, like you said, I think you mentioned they are like your protectors and they were supposed to help you. What do you feel they could have done better? Or, like, as advice to other parents maybe watching this who have children who are married and maybe kind of going through this situation? Because they always have this, one thing you hear is like, oh, the stigma of what other people will think and stuff. That's kind of seems to be the biggest one. But what kind of advice could you give to parents out there to do better for helping their kids if they are in a situation that they can't resolve, or they can't, continue the relationship? What kind of support do you think they should give them?
And the first thing I would say is, getting divorced isn't easy. Leaving a relationship is not easy. So if your child comes to you and they're asking for your help, you've got to realize that's probably the hardest decision they're making of their life. So you need to be supportive, because for me, I was taking this massive step, wanting to take this massive step, and I was up against a wall. And what they didn't realize, that me trying to that doesn't make me weak. It's actually I was actually being strong. And by you stopping me, you're actually making me weaker. But it's the hardest decision I've ever had to make.
Yeah, you sort of said it yourself. It's got to take courage. Because, like you said, no one gets married to get a divorce. They don't want to get a divorce. And to get to that point, because you probably would have calculated a lot of things in your head already. Like, how would this happen? What are people going to say? How can I make this work? What can I do afterwards and stuff? And, like, you're like, okay, I finally plucked up the courage, saying, I am really unhappy now. I need to do something about this. And you've just plucked up that courage to tell the people who you think are going to help you, and they've just, let you down.
There's no way to describe that feeling. It's the worst. And then to be repeatedly told again and again and again, no, you can't get out. And there's an argument and something new will happen, or there'll be another argument or another incident, and they'll be like, no. It's just point blank, no.
How did you feel like at that point? Like, I know you described.
God, it was, there's no words. Alone. Shit. Emotional. Lonely. It was the worst. So I cried for 12 years. Solid. I'm getting upset now.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
So, have you built that relationship with your parents?
My dad is sadly no longer here. But yeah, and actually, in the end, they're the ones that helped me get out once they came around. I built a relationship with my mum, and I think they realise now that they should have helped me earlier. But I don't blame them anymore, because I did. I was very angry, because I've come to the realisation that it wasn't intentional. They didn't do it to hurt me. They genuinely thought they were doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And that's where we've got to educate society and the communities that it's not always the right thing. Because it was right for you doesn't mean it's the right thing for somebody else, because that toxic environment can destroy a person.
Yeah. Wow. And since so, during the period of you going through divorce or even afterwards, did you ever seek any therapy or any kind of help?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I've had coaching sessions pretty much all the way through. Not now, but
You're the coach now, so.
yeah. Well, it was more like coaching, counseling, because for that period where I was, and I say alone, I needed support because I'm like, how am I going to get out of this? I needed somebody to tell me, in all fairness, it's going to be okay and you're going to get out.
Yeah.
Because there was nobody else telling me that.
Just them words are so powerful, I find. Just to tell someone, actually, it's going to be okay. Just that reassurance that I've got your back as well. Like,
at the end of the day, they couldn't do anything though, right? They're saying that in a shape or form, but ultimately, the person that got myself out was me.
yeah.
If I didn't persist, if I didn't persevere, I'd still be in that marriage.
Wow.
Because I'm the one who kept on fighting. I'm the one that kept knocking on that door. I'm the one that kept going back to my mum and dad like, I'm unhappy, I'm unhappy, I'm unhappy. And in the end, they came around to the idea because they fell out with him as well. But for me, it was my persistence and perseverance that got me to where I am. When people would say to me, oh, how are you so strong? How did you do it? And my answer is, I actually don't know. But on reflection, I'm like, it's because I just didn't give up.
Wow. Did you give that advice to anyone else?
Yeah, absolutely. Like so a little bit more context was I was working in the family business and my choice was to stay in the family business and have no money troubles in theory, or leave the family business, work my arse off, be a single parent, but be happy. So it was a choice of having money and a few extra luxuries in life and be unhappy, or leave, fight my way out, work all the hours I can, and be a single parent and be happy. I chose the second one.
Have you ever had any regrets?
No, not at all. My mum says it to me. She says to me, are you really happy? And I'm like, are you serious? Like, how can you even ask me that? Like, not because of the divorce party changed the trajectory of everything. Because for me, I was going to be just another number, another person that got divorced. And I never thought anything of it at the time, right? And I put, what happened is in March 2021, it was Mother's Day. And my parents actually came over the first time in about 10 years to my house and had breakfast. It was really nice. So I put my post up on Facebook about the first time they came over in 10 years and my story and a little bit of my journey. And I got, people started commenting and saying we resonate. Then the divorce party happened. And then that then changed the trajectory of everything. So I don't no, I don't.
Because you do sound really happy. And I think it's amazing that you did what you had to do to get out of a situation. And I respect the fact that you said when you do coaching as well, and we've touched on this before, but that you don't always tell people that to get a divorce because it's so hard. There's things you can do to change in a relationship to make it better. But if you really are unhappy, and it's, sometimes a gut feeling even just to tell you to get out, and you did do that, and how you really spun it into a really positive thing and having a party, I think it's commendable, to be honest, because there'll be a lot of people judging it, watching. And I think you've done an amazing thing to really empower yourself and to set yourself free, because I can understand it can be quite difficult when you're just trapped.
I felt like I was in prison for like over a decade. It was horrible. And the party was just, as you say, things happen for a reason. And at that time I'd be questioning, my God, why is this happening to me? I'm stuck here like 10 years on, 12 years on. And I'd have other people that I knew that were going through divorce out in another relationship. And I'm like, I'm still trying to get out.
Yeah.
So that was really hard, really, really hard. But clearly there was another path written for me.
Yeah.
And maybe if I'd got out in 2 years, I wouldn't have thrown the party.
Yeah.
So, I've come to realise that everything happens for a reason. I can see that reason now. Yeah.
So Sonia, obviously when you talked about your parents and the kind of or maybe the lack of support initially that you had maybe from them, and all this journey that you've been through, what kind of steps are you taking to help the people that you're coaching, and maybe even in the community, to make them aware about the mental health issues that could go around, divorce and relationships?
So I talk very openly about my journey. I write a lot. It's all on my website. I've got a blog. So I talk very openly to everybody, whether it's an auntie, whether it's a child, whether it's the next door neighbour, anyone. I'll talk to them if the topic comes up very openly. And then through that medium, I'm communicating effectively with the older generation about my divorce. Now, I'll give you an example. We go to the temple a lot. So my family are very spiritual. So we go to the temple a lot. And before, my mum wouldn't, as you know, divorce was very, she didn't want it. The other week, a lady called me and she said, Sonia, I said, yeah. She went, your mum gave me your number. I'm going through a divorce.
An auntie?
My mum. So, but another lady, she was in her 40s. But the fact that my mum gave her my number is such a big step.
Yeah.
Because my mum's acknowledging the fact that I'm helping people. So it's just, I use social media. Everyone's on social media these days. So I use that medium to communicate about what I went through, my mental health, and I write very openly about it. I will write, the car was the only place I could cry. The loneliness I went through. I write about all of that. And I get aunties of my mum's age now and other people saying, Sonia, you're doing a fab job, because I am helping people understand the implications of not supporting your children.
Wow, that's amazing. And guys, please follow Sonia on her social medias. We're going to stick them in the description below, Instagram and all the other platforms that Sonia's on. I think there's some amazing work that you're doing, and realizing, because I think parents realize actually how hard it can be in maybe our generation, and maybe their generation was just to get on with it. But I want to know, what sort of things do aunties say to you when they come up to you?
Now it's really, they're like, Sonia, you're doing a fab job, well done. And then the other day I was at somebody's house and he was like, oh, well done. And they were like, we read every single one, every word of your post.
Really?
I write from the heart.
Yeah.
And so if I'm writing a piece, I'll write it and then I'll rewrite it and then I'll rewrite it. And I keep on writing it until it makes me cry. Because when it makes me cry, I know it's from the heart.
Yeah.
And then I know I've done my job. Because if it doesn't make me cry, then it's not what I really went through. So I keep rewriting it. And we read every single word. And he's like, well done. And my mum's like, yeah, okay. And he's like, auntie, you don't understand what she's doing for our community.
Who says that?
My cousin. Right,
Okay.
It's like a family friend. Like a cousin. And he said that to my mum. So it's just, when people say stuff like that, that's nice to know that they can see the impact that they're making. And it's just nice. They're like, oh, well done, Sonia. Yeah, that's it, really.
Is this still quite a lonely journey that you're sort of going through with this whole thing, or do you feel a bit more like...
Oh, no, I'm at peace with it. Definitely at peace. It's not lonely now. And I had a great network before. I now have more single friends, as in single parent friends, people that are divorced. So my network, I have my core girls, which I've told you about. And then I've made a whole new other network of singletons, should I say, but who are parents as well.
And so has that led to any potential, would you sort of remarry after what you've been through? Or?
Okay, so for me, God, my mum's going to watch this, she'll have a coronary. She is like, marriage is off the cards completely. You are not allowed to date. You are not allowed to meet anybody.
Yeah.
So the first time I kind of went out after COVID and my divorce, I went out with a group called for the Asian Single Parents Network. And it's not a dating or anything. It's literally parents that are, single parents. And the first thing she said to me, so who else was there? I said, guys and girls. I said, did you sit on a table with guys or girls, men or women? I said, women. She's like, okay, fine. I'm like, why are you worried? She just doesn't want me to.
Still,
even now, if I told her I met anybody, I think she would I think she's just so scarred by the journey. Because, yes, he was my husband, but for my mum and dad, he was their son.
All right.
And she's really scarred. She's really hurt.
Wow.
Yeah. So she will not talk ever about me meeting anybody. But am I open to marriage? It's not on the table, but it's not off the table.
Okay.
It's not a prerequisite.
Before,
in my 20s, I'm like, yeah, I need to get married. And I'm like, I'm happy to meet somebody, have a relationship. Marriage, it would potentially be nice to be in a loving union. So it's not on the table. It's not off the table. It's if it happens, it happens.
So are you have you dated after like, being in after the divorce and
I have dated, but yeah, I haven't met anybody that I want to date long term. I hope God, Mum's not listening.
Sorry. Oh, this is cool. This is fun. So obviously your kids have seen you go through all of this, and they themselves have obviously bared the trauma of what happened. What sort of advice or what are you doing to prepare them maybe for marriage, and kind of, what are your thoughts on them getting married, and like how are you preparing them, would you say?
So the first thing is they don't have to get married. That's the first thing, because I think that's where it potentially goes wrong, because there is that pressure, you have to get married, right? So the first thing is they are not under any pressure to get married. They can marry who they want. I've got no prerequisites. I've got no conditions. For me, as long as they make you happy, that's it. So my older one does have a girlfriend, and I'm very chilled out about it. And actually, she was over the other day and we were talking, and then we were having a conversation about life and how tough it can be in the big outside world, and about my younger one. And my older one is he tries to mold the younger one into being the best version of himself, which of course is the right thing to do. But as a mum, I'm a bit soft, and as an older brother, father figure, he's a bit tough.
Right.
So we were having this conversation, and I actually said to his girlfriend at the time, I was like, this conversation that they're having, I said, this is what he's going to be like if you two get married and have children. It's a red flag. And she was laughing. And I was like, I'm very straight up. I'm very honest. I said, if you want, this is what he's going to be like as a dad.
Yeah.
And I was like, red flag. But we were joking. It was a jest.
Quite, yeah.
But we do talk very openly about relationships and everything. And I have a very honest, open relationship with both the boys, because I think that's really important.
It sounds quite healthy, to be honest. It sounds quite refreshing that you're doing that and you're speaking to them. And again, I don't know, because I feel like with some people that I know, it'll feel a bit stigmatic to do that. But it sounds really refreshing and healthy that you can talk about that you can say that, oh, well, you don't need to get married. And even having the conversation of marriage. Otherwise, it's like, no, get married. And then, well, oh, have kid. Oh, have enough kid.
Yeah, that's where that pressure comes from. And that's where that realization is when you're younger, that, oh no, the only thing I need to do is get married, and after I get married. But actually, you don't have to. Of course, I want my children to be happy. But what is their happy is different to my happy. They might think, I never want to get married. That's my happy place. So many people are like that these days. So what I want for what my ideal life, goals, whatever they are going to be different to theirs.
It's true. So actually, I want to ask, because I've got a few people around me who are either going through divorce or have been through divorce or are divorced. And, when I speak to them about it, they were like, it was the hardest thing to do. And it's like, I wonder what it was like for you. Firstly, why do you think people are going through divorce?
I think there's lots of different reasons. And I think for my generation, I think it goes back to the fact that we're led to believe you have to get married. That's the first thing. COVID brought up so many problems.
Oh.
We're not built to live together with somebody 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So that brought a lot of problems, because at least when you're in a marriage and you're out the house for 10 hours of the day and then you come back home, it's a little bit of different dynamics. So many people know their marriages fell apart in COVID, because as humans, that's not what we're built to do. I think the other thing is there's a lot more on social media about, and I use this term because it's used a lot, but it's not a term I like to use. My partner is a narcissist, right?
Yeah.
It's used a lot. And the more people post on social media that about my ex-partner did this, or my ex-partner's did, or my partner's doing this, what should I do? My partner's doing this. Everyone's got something to say. No person is perfect. So the more people post about this social media, you read and think, actually, my partner does that.
Yeah.
Are they a narcissist?
Yeah.
Are they like that? And I use that term. I actually don't like that term at all, for different reasons. But so there's more awareness of what is acceptable or what isn't acceptable. But I don't know if that's gone too far.
Yeah, it feels like it's kind of is almost, people are almost like straight away, they believe social media to be like, oh, okay, this is the answer. And then straight away relate it to themselves and be like, okay, this person, like you said, didn't do this. and then affect their marriage in a straight away. Not even take a step back and think, okay, you know what? Maybe that was like what is it? Critical, like having some critical thinking a little bit, like, you know, be like, actually, what is this? Where is this person even a marketer? Because a lot of, so I do marketing. We know for social media and stuff, there's always an angle or a hook to get people to watch your videos. And so majority of people who are posting online have an agenda. And it could be just to get more clicks, more likes, because the more clicks, likes, and interactivity they get, they probably get paid by the platforms or brand deals and stuff. And so they're more inclined to kind of get your attention. And so hence the terms of like narcissist and stuff like that. So I would say, just as from a marketing perspective, if you're watching stuff on social media like that as well, cut it out. Like, stop, take a breather, and or think about what you're reading, who's posting it, why they're posting it. If it's someone who's genuinely gone through something and sharing a story such as like Sonia, I think then like listen to their actual story and see, like, how, I think it's so refreshing that Sonia says, like, you can reclaim your marriage. You don't have to get a divorce. Like, that's so empowering, because there are options. There's 5 different love languages. Maybe it's that, exploring the options first. But then obviously if it is too hard, then go down that route and maybe get some mediators involved. And I wonder, like, what was it like for you as like getting what auntie, uncles, dadi, nana, nani, like all of that?
My family are all in India, so it's very different. So over here was mum and dad, and then I've got my sister in the States, and then we've got really close friends. But for me, it was really, really, really difficult and really different, because what would happen is, because mum, dad, and my ex were working together all day, he'd go to work and say, "Oh, Sonia didn't do this, or Sonia didn't do that, or whatever," right? And I'd come home, and the 3 of them would be sitting there, ready to grill me.
Wow.
It was horrible.
So like he would influence them during the whole day, and then they come back, and these are your parents
in my house, and literally annihilating me. And a little bit of context to that is, me and my mum always had a rocky relationship, even when I was a teenager. I'm not the typical Indian girl who does the hundy and agrees to everything. She'd say something, but like, "But why?" Or, "I don't want to do that." There was always a battle. So I was the black sheep of the family, always argued everything. So we already had a rocky relationship. And I think he saw that there was this gap in this relationship and just took advantage.
Yeah, saw the cracks and then kind of like just kind of pulled them apart almost, isn't it? And it's like, that's quite...
It was horrible, because...
Hence why they sided with him, is that you can't...
Absolutely.
A lot of for a majority of the time during the...
So he worked with them 24/7. He always did the right thing. He didn't always argue the tasks. I always did. I was always branded to be the naughty one, in inverted commas, the difficult one. I'm quite loud, outspoken. So there was always... I already had that name tag, right? So it just... When he'd say, "Oh, she didn't do this," they're just like, oh, "Okay, she probably didn't."
Not even like think, actually, maybe she did do it.
Or maybe that isn't the truth.
Yeah.
So it was always already branded, because I'm not your typical Asian Indian girl. I didn't go to uni. I chose a different path. And so, whereas my sister, complete opposite to me, did the chosen path, went to uni, and see, I'm spiritual in a different way. My sister's spiritual in a different way. But that doesn't mean I don't believe. And my mum's very religious. So I think we always battled over those kind of things. And so, yeah, it was a broken relationship anyway.
Wow. And then so when you're going through that and your parents have come around with your ex-husband and they're starting to grill you, and then you're like, you know, at that point where you're like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore, and you're really unhappy. Did you have some mediation from like extended family at all?
So no one in the UK, because I didn't have any.
Oh, literally, it's just you, your parents.
Yeah, there was a few friends, like mum's friends. They would come and try and, you know, make me understand, and, you know, it's not the right thing to do, and you need to stay. And then she then started telling like her clients at work, and they would call me, and I'd be like, "Oh my God, this is really hard." I'd be like, "Stop telling people to try and convince me to stay in this marriage."
It sounds like almost it built the strength up for you, because it's like you're hurting, you're alone, you're trying to fight this and trying to, you know, get this resolved, and you know you're unhappy. But the more people that were telling you to stay, it's like you kind of almost built that strength. Like, no, actually, I'm fed up of you saying that. I'm going to say it now.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm going to leave.
I've got strong willpower. So I think it was just that kept me going. But yeah, you're getting people to randomly call me and tell me to stay. And I'm like, it's just annoying me.
It's putting me off now. Yeah.
I'm like, fed up.
Yeah.
And then actually, which is a little bit different to probably most other people's stories, I then went to India in 2018 or 19 with my dad for a spiritual trip, for a pilgrimage. I think my dad actually thought that this trip would fix the problems, but he thought fixing the problems meant work out the marriage.
Mm.
So I went to these spiritual guys and
Where'd you go?
I went to Vrindavan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And there's this Maharaji there, very young, and he's now really well known. And I said, my family are really religious, you can see my family, but I'm really unhappy and I want to leave my marriage. And he said, do what you need to do. That was really enlightening. And there was another guru, I would say, and I spoke to him and he was like, Bidra, do what you need to do. So two people, knowing my family, knowing the traditions, were like, if you need to get out, you need to get out. And then I told my cousins. Now, the interesting bit is here, the cousins I told are my dad's nephews that my dad spoke to every day. Right? He was very, very close to them. They had no idea what was going on.
Really?
So when they found out, they were like, what the hell is going on? We need to get her out.
Yeah.
So I didn't have the bit where everyone's like, you need to stay, you need to stay. When my cousins found out in India, they were like, Strategy, what are you doing?
Yeah. Wow.
She's really unhappy. You need to get her out.
And then what happened from there? Did your sort of dad listen at that point? Or?
I mean, I think he had the backing of the family then. And I think it kind of changed the dynamics a little bit. But then I didn't get involved because I was like, I've told my cousins, you can deal with it now. But that was really interesting because I thought, they were like, we don't know anything.
You haven't got a clue, yeah.
And I'm like, what? And my puppy was like, Didi, we don't know. And I was like, how can you not know what's been going on for the last 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever it was, 8 years? I'm living in hell.
Wow.
And they were completely flawed.
That's insane. It just goes to show, innit? People want to, parents want to keep it, hidden. And
I was absolutely flawed that they didn't know.
Yeah, it's really, you really don't know what's going through someone's life or what's going through their mind and what's happening at home. I do want to sort of ask about, why do you think there is, I mentioned that there's a few of my, people around me that are going through divorce or being through divorce or are divorced. Why do you think that's just happening more so now?
Okay, there's lots of things. One, as I said about the social media, there's much more awareness. I think the other thing is, it's going to sound really sick, but the reason marriages lasted before were because, in all honesty, women used to stay at home and they had to put up and shut up. We don't need to do that now. People aren't as tolerant of crap going on. They're not reliant on that one person, that breadwinner, because women can earn
independently.
Yeah. And so that does make a difference. And when I have women call me and speak to me saying, right, they're here from India, their husband is the one earning money, but they're treating them like rubbish and they want to get out. They can't because they've got no financial independence. So financial independence is potentially a reason people are
staying in their relationships
or staying, or either they haven't got it, so they have to stay, or they have got it, so they
leave.
They go. But it's getting harder with the cost of living. Some people are staying because they actually can't afford to divorce at all.
There was an article actually saying it's cheaper to stay together and not get divorced than it is to get divorced.
Divorce is extortionate. It's ridiculous. And then if you've got assets and you have to split them.
Oh, yeah.
It's a whole...
That's crazy.
Other conversation.
Maybe for the next podcast.
Maybe.
At some point. Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, we'd love to maybe have you back after in the future just to see how your sort of relationship coaching is going, if that's something. Is that what you're focusing on at the moment?
Yeah, I am focusing on that quite a lot more. It's interesting and ultimately I like helping people.
Yeah, that's really nice.
I like helping people and that's the end game, right? To help people and to get the word out about... So there's two things that I think are really important. One is empowering people to make the right choices for themselves, whether it's before marriage, after marriage, or during marriage. 2, children, do not use them as a pawn if you are going to get divorced, because we brought these beautiful souls into the world and you're just destroying them willingly. You know, when you go to custody battles and things like that, why would you feel the need to? You can resolve it. And the other thing is about educating the wider community that divorce isn't the end of the world. I'm not promoting it, but it doesn't have to be the end.
Because people could feel so trapped and stuck that they might revert to other means, which could be a lot worse. But there is help out there. And so Sonia is one of them. Even if it's not Sonia, there are therapists out there you could speak to someone who's probably unbiased. Would you say maybe not friends and family, although you can maybe lean on them for support. But definitely speak to someone if you are stuck and troubled. We got Sonia's links in the description below. Do check her out. Follow her on socials. She's amazing. Her journey online's amazing about her divorce party, which I want to dive into a bit more now. What was going on at the divorce party? How did it make you feel when, like, you know, your friend turned up with the sash that says just divorced? Was you like really like embracing it, or like?
I was like, okay, like I didn't really think anything of it. He's like, Sonia, wear this. I was like, okay, and I put it on. I think it was more the look on my parents' face.
Yeah,
I saw it. That was not good. But it was just a really fun filled afternoon.
Do you think that it brought you like closure to the whole episode of like what was been going on?
Closure was already there because it took so long to get to that point, like 12 years. There was relief. That sounds terrible, but there was relief from everybody. And I think, again, for all of us around, at least this was done. We could find a way forward. I don't think I needed closure, but this definitely gave me a different path, which was nice.
Yeah. And would you like recommend anyone else to sort of maybe have divorce party, or have you seen more divorce parties since you?
There have been. There's actually a club in London that does a divorce party package.
No way.
Yeah. And someone's like, Sonia, they stole your idea. And I'm like, no, it's fine. I think you need to do what's right for you. So some people won't do it because, you know, they don't want to. For me, it's about, one of my friends said to me, Sonia, not a lot of people get to celebrate themselves. You did. Well done. So I think it's about celebrating yourself, whatever you like doing. Now, I like good music. I like dancing. So that was the ideal way for me to celebrate my new beginning. Some people go out for a meal. Some people go on holiday. Some people go for a spa break. I suppose it depends what your interests are. So you could do anything to mark that new beginning. So people say to me, well, why did you do it? And I say, well, when you get married, you have a wedding reception because you're marking a new beginning. I got divorced. I'm marking a new beginning.
Yeah.
And they were like, really? I'm like, yeah, really.
Yeah. And it feels like it seems more accepted now, would you say, like, of people potentially doing a divorce party, because it felt like it was, I don't know, a bit stigmatic before when you sort of did it, because it went viral, right? I mean, it picked up in India, like sort of media and stuff. And now it seems like, I wonder if someone did it, it probably wouldn't be as like.
Yeah, no, I've been invited to a number of divorce parties now. I said, I'm having a divorce party. I'm like, okay, we'll try and be there. I think people are celebrating divorce now, if it's been a tough journey. So I have an article where in India, Salman Khan is the top headline.
Yeah.
I'm the bottom headline. And then when you turn over, it's all about Nicole Kidman and someone else, I can't remember now, but talking about their journey of divorce as well. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I did want to touch on like other like solutions to like sort of divorce. Like, so for example, some people, like you mentioned, it's quite expensive, and it's quite difficult. It's traumatic. So are there, especially for kids as well involved, are there other ways of separating and living and kind of maybe like co-parenting and stuff like that? There's solutions like that for people who might.
There are always solutions if you're both willing to be reasonable about it. Now, I lived with my ex for 12 years whilst going through this divorce, and it was not.
Oh, you were living together in the house for 12 years,
so
going through divorce?
2010 to 2021, 2000, yeah, but we were living together the whole time. We went to court. Everything. The whole thing.
That's got to be tough. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, that I would have argument with mum and dad, or argument with him, and I go to mum and dad, and be like, go home. But where were you sending me back to?
Yeah.
Sending me back to the place I just ran from. Look, you can co-parent. There are absolutely ways you can do it amicably, but you've got to be adult about it. You've got to communicate in an adult way.
Let go of ego a little.
Yeah, let go of ego, bitterness, anger, for the sake of the children. That's it. it takes both people to do that. There's no point one person being amicable and the other person being really difficult, because then that person's just going to walk all over you.
It sounds interesting because your circumstances are slightly probably different from maybe the typical, because like, you know how like in Asian culture, you know, the wife or the girl would leave her parents, her home, a support network, and then move in with like sort of the parents and of her husband, say, and so if she was to get a divorce or to separate, should lose a whole load of that network and that support, and you've said even maybe not be able to support herself financially. What would you say to those people in that sort of situation?
I think that's the biggest reason women don't leave. They're built to want security and stability, and you get married and you have this stability and security. I say that in inverted commas because being married and having somebody there doesn't bring you stability. You can be on an emotional roller coaster. So what is stability? Are you talking about financial stability? Then potentially you can work on that yourself. That's what I did. If I was reliant on the situation I was in, I'd still be reliant on my parents to be my financial stability, right? So I changed that. So there's no black or white answer, though, to your question, because everyone's circumstances are different.
But it does seem like it's kind of almost empowering yourself to make, you know, the moves you need to make, sort of thing. And this, again, is not like people might be thinking of promoting divorce and that sort of thing. We're not here to do that. It's literally, it's seeing more people who are stuck, who are really frightened and stuck and need to get out and need an option and need help. Because in our community, there's that whole stigma that you can't do this, you can't divorce, you can't do that. And there are people who may be suffering domestic violence. And that's a big reason to get out. And there is support out there to let you know there is help out there. There's support out there. If people are struggling, do you think they can contact you, Sonia, if it's something that they maybe even just to have a chat about things?
That's what I'm here for.
Amazing. Sonia's offered her support for anyone who is suffering, especially like maybe in sort of domestic violence situations. There are the local authorities, like councils. If you live in England, there's like the local councils that have support services. But if not, just you can always reach out to Sonia and she can maybe help find something that's local to you to help you. So this is amazing, Sonia. Thank you for like sharing your story today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
It's been very, very interesting seeing this and hearing it from yourself, of what you went through, the sort of trials and tribulations, the journey, the divorce party, which I wonder, like, did your ex-husband know about it? How did he?
Well, there's no way he could not known about it. It was flashed everywhere.
On the mirror. Oh my gosh.
And in India. So I think the biggest thing that's because it was so viral in India. We've never spoken about it.
Never spoken about it?
Never spoken about it.
Wow. It's
just not come up. And why would I say, oh, did you see? He sees what I do. He must see the stuff. You know, I've won a few awards along the way.
Speaking about awards, Sonia's just come back from Birmingham last night or this morning, early morning, and she's just won an amazing award. What did you win? And
I won the WOW Award for Voice of Change.
Wow, the WOW Award for Voice and Change. And that's amazing. How does that make you feel, sort of getting awards? And
yeah, I mean, it's very surreal still. I mean, if I sit back and think, God, 12 years ago, would I even thought I would have got out? And now I'm doing something completely different and actually being recognised for being like inspirational and a role model and the voice of change. And one of my favourite titles, Disruptor of the Year, because I feel like it's a great title. I think the word is surreal. I still don't really believe it sometimes because the journey was so horrific in some ways.
Well, I mean, I didn't know you from before, but just having met you today and you sharing your story, I can see how traumatic of a time it was. And I'm really happy for you now for what you're doing. You're doing some amazing work, sharing and helping people. So what's on the horizon then for Sonia going forward?
So I'm just going to continue what I'm doing. I love the whole It's a Sonia thing because that's what it's called. I do dating events as well. I've helped people find love after divorce, which is being really nice.
Like a vajolla, like a matrimony.
Yeah, well, I've done some dating events and I've introduced people.
Wow.
So that's been quite nice. And it's nice seeing people that have been through something and then they found love again. That's really nice.
We need a Netflix version for like here, isn't it? You know, got Auntie Seema in India. They got that matchmaking.
No comments on Auntie Seema.
Oh,
she made it. Well, I'll tell you.
Talk to us. Tell us.
One of her episodes, she says, well, you have a disadvantage because you're divorced.
Oh.
into somebody else, and yeah, that just got my back up.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, well, is it a disadvantage or an advantage? Because to society or other people, it's a disadvantage. For me, it's an advantage because I'm not going to make that mistake again. I know exactly what I want.
Yeah.
So again, swings and roundabout, right? How you view it.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, she's disadvantaged because she's divorced, and I was like, do you not want to say that in front of me?
That's such a traditional way of thinking, isn't it? But it's true actually, because sometimes you don't know, you think you know what you want, but when you've gone through it, like in reality, it's like, actually, no, I didn't want this and I want this. And you've got a better understanding and idea, and you can probably make a better go of it. Like the second time round, I was speaking to someone I work with, and he was sharing his story. I might try and get him on the podcast. Won't mention his name, but really, really nice guy. And he said that his second marriage is just so much calmer and peaceful, and he's really happy. And just from his voice, I could tell. And I was like, wow, like sometimes, it's not the right person in the first time round.
The other thing is, most people get married in their 20s. You are not the same person in your 20s, in your 30s, in your 40s, right?
Yeah.
So you then change as a person. So if you're married in your 20s, you need to grow together.
Yeah.
People grow apart because their interests change, your lifestyle changes. You've got kids, everything changes. So if you're married, my tip is grow together. Learn to grow together. If you don't have similar interests, make an effort to have a similar interest, because what's going to happen is you're going to get to 40, 50, that kind of age. Your children grow up, go to uni, and there's two people in the house that don't know each other. And that's what happens.
What would you say? Like, I see people getting married a lot later, say, in our communities now as well. What would you say to that? Is that do you think that's a good thing?
That's the right thing to do.
So wait.
Because you know yourself a bit better. What I was at 22 or 24 and 26 or any of those ages, I'm completely different now. And I'm not saying wait till you're 50 nearly, which is how old I nearly am. But what I'm saying is you evolve as a person. It's better to know yourself better and then take that step.
And it's touched actually on something important you said earlier as well, is that you, even for your kids, like make sure you're happy. So even like find that happiness within yourself, right? Rather than trying to find it in someone else externally, because that person's not necessarily going to make you happy. You have to make yourself happy and understand your happiness, and then maybe have someone add to that. Yeah,
you've got to be happy and you've got to love yourself, right? And when you're in that space, you will then meet the right person potentially, because you're not looking for somebody else to make you happy. Looking for somebody who enhances.
Yeah.
It's a big difference in the two.
And I think that's a great note to leave this conversation on. Sonia, again, I want to say a massive thank you for coming down and sharing your story. It's been amazing to hear, and I hope it's helping a lot of people out there when this gets out. And again, I do want to promote Sonia's work, because I think she's doing a great job in helping people and bringing awareness out there, because there's people hiding who are unhappy and they need the help. And so it's there, links in the description. Please check it out. And hopefully, Sonia, would you come back again to share how your business journey is going on as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing. Well, Sonia, thank you so much for sharing your story today. Guys, please like, subscribe, and turn on all bell notifications to know when we're next releasing our podcast. Sonia Gupta today, guys, who's absolutely an amazing person, who's shared her journey being a relationship and divorce coach, and also the divorce party that she had and the feedback that she got from it. The journey that she took through it, the trials and tribulations. Check it out. Share this video, like, subscribe, and we'll see you on the other side. Take care, guys.